Good morning, welcome back to another episode of HardFoul Radio. This is the show that values time and puts God first. Let's get started. So we have to start with an opinion that rubbed people the wrong way, but let me explain. And let me explain and expand, because maybe that'll add more context. We had 6 first-round draft picks at quarterback last year. Go down, all the way from Caleb Williams to Bo Nix. And there was very different outcomes for all 6 of them. And what I tried to say yesterday was, if you believe in Caleb Williams, and it was based off this belief that people were just saying, well, Caleb is still definitively better. He was the first guy drafted than Bo, admittedly, my guy Bo, because his stats were actually really good and no one gave him the fair credit. And I said, let's actually be fair then and say, hey, look at his numbers when they were trailing severely, like down 10 plus points, throwing touchdowns late in the third and fourth quarter. And that's where he was able to recoup some of his numbers, because his numbers were not off to a good start last year. They just flatly weren't. He was struggling early. They had issues on the offensive line, coaching. They fired their head coach. Their issues, and I think Caleb was going to be good. That's the crazy thing is, I think the Bears, without giving away official predictions, are going to finish second in their division. But last year, frankly, he was not better than Bo. But let's expand that, because people get really, it was really polarizing, because I took the first guy drafted in the first round and the last guy drafted in the first round out of the quarterbacks. All 6 of these quarterbacks have very different perspectives on them heading into year 2. Caleb is, did we pair him with the right guy? Are him and Ben Johnson going to go on this run and dominate the NFC North? Because we know they both have something to prove. It's, can Ben Johnson do it without the great Lions offensive line and running backs and all the talent they had in Detroit? And can Caleb do it and prove that he was actually not the problem, it was the coach's problem last year? Fair. Jaden Daniels, he is going to have to fight just the really lazy opinion of sophomore slump. Now, so there's going to be some validity to that. They're going to have a tougher schedule. I also think that if your record's not overwhelming in the regular season, but then you get hot for a playoff run, do I think Washington is truly one of the 4 best teams in football? I don't, even though that's where they placed. And so it'll be very easy for that narrative to be spread. Oh, Washington's worse because they didn't get as far as the NFC Championship game. But he's going to have to fight some generic sophomore slump. And because he's been thrown into these conversations of, is he already a top 6 quarterback? He will have to fight those. Drake May, new coach. We all acknowledge Drake May is this vast amount of potential, extremely talented, but the Patriots just weren't very good. Roster was horrible. Coach wasn't any good. So now we got Mike Vrabel. We got Stephon Diggs, some roster improvement. Is Drake May going to be the guy that we think he can? I'm high on Drake May. I like Drake May a lot, even if I don't think the Patriots necessarily are going to be quite ready for that next step yet. Then you have J.J. McCarthy, who obviously, him and Penix kind of in the same boat. Penix, because Kirk Cousins was there, didn't really get to play a lot until the end of the season. J.J. missed the entire season due to injury. So we're basically judging them as this is their true rookie season. Let's see what they can do. We really like Minnesota's roster. And we just saw Sam Darnold do it, which does kind of add some pressure to J.J. because, well, if Sam Darnold can do it, a guy that we've, as a consensus, never thought super highly of after his first few years in the league, we feel like if JJ is just good, he should be able to fit in here. And Penix, Atlanta's got a bunch. Atlanta has offensive talent, if nothing else. A good O-line, Robinson, Drake London, like Kyle Pitts, maybe for the 5th year in a row of crossing our fingers and hoping he'll actually be the tight end that we drafted in the top 5. There's potential there. And then there's Bo, who has just been relegated to, well, he's going to be Mac Jones. He's just going to be Mac Jones because Mac made the Pro Bowl as a rookie, got into the playoffs, and then fell off a cliff. So clearly, he's just going to be Mac Jones. All right. The problem with all of these opinions is that we're not really basing off their professional career. Bomani Jones said this best. And I like Bomani. I like his show. I like watching him. So this is not a criticism or a jab. But he said to Mina Kimes, they were recording together, and he said, hey, look, man, I like a lot about Denver. I like the defense. I like the O-line. I like some of the weapons. I'm just never going to be a Bo Nix guy. And the reason I'm never going to be a Bo Nix guy is because I watch, and he thinks other people like him who watched a lot of college football and just said, look, man, I've seen this for years. He's just not that good. At what point, this is a genuine question. This isn't even a take or an opinion, a genuine question to the masses. When do we separate young athletes in their professional career from what they did as a prospect in their collegiate career? At what point do we go, because you can't just say, oh, well, this guy's really talented. There's a million really talented athletes out there. Only a small percentage make it in their professional league, let alone make it to the playoffs in their professional league. So when do we actually, as a society, as a culture of sports fans, when do we go, you know what? Yeah, he was one of the greatest 18 to 21-year-olds or 18 to 20-year-olds, but it just didn't quite work. He's just not going to be that guy in the professionals, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. When do we finally separate that? Because it can't just be talent all day. Like, yes, Caleb was a considered generational prospect, and I pushed back on that. To me, if you're truly a generational prospect, and this is the thing that the Caleb people didn't like, is like, well, he's going to be better because his coach is better and his O-line is better. Okay? Can you be the generational or be as great as you once thought he was if you're saying his situation has to be way better? Because isn't that the same logic you guys say with Bo of why you think Bo is going to be Mac Jones? Yes, all these quarterbacks are better. All these players are better if they have good coaching, good general manager, good offensive line, and good players around them. I've used the Chris Carter quote a million times, and I'll continue to use it a million more. 99% of guys who play are system players. So Caleb, who was generational, no doubt first pick in the draft, are we saying then that he is only that if he has a potentially Ben Johnson who we think can be a really good head coach, if he's got the new revamped offensive line? Because that's what you tell me the only reason Bo Nix was any good is because he had a better offensive line. He had Sean Payton as head coach. If you admit one, don't you have to admit the other? Andrew Luck, who was truly generational, took a crappy Colts team to the playoffs. Not a good offensive line, not a good defense. Was just stringing it together out there himself. I don't know. If you go look at those 11-5 seasons that Andrew Luck pulled off consecutively, go look at those rosters. They're not very good. So again, I'm just asking, when do we separate the talent and their collegiate experience from who they are as a professional? And I'm not saying you have to let it go after a year. I wouldn't let it go after a year. But when do we do it? I think I got to go after is also staying in Caleb's division is the NFC North. And like I said, I have the Bears finishing second this year. We'll do official previews, and Tony and I do a big show, and it's going to be great when we get there. But the NFC North, which you could argue was the best division in football last year. The Lions, the Packers, the Vikings, all crazy amount of wins. The Vikings and Lions both had 14 wins going into last week of the season. Most wins, I think, by any division. The other division that I think is in question for the best is the AFC West. Partially because of its coaches, Reed, Peyton, Carroll, Harbaugh. I think that's really it. You get the AFC West, NFC North. Now, while I think this year, though, we're going to see a clear difference because the NFC North, to me, just feels like it is absolutely going to take a step back. Look, and this isn't, again, you don't have to be critical. This is analyzing a situation. Do I think Detroit losing both its coordinators are worth probably a game or two loss? I do. And if we take the fact that their last game of the season was a must-win against Minnesota, where normally that wouldn't be if you're 14-2. So that could theoretically be a throwaway game. That's a loss. Take away a game per coordinator. It'd be crazy. Take away a game for a brilliant offensive coordinator and a really smart defensive coordinator. Now they're an 11-12 win team. Is that crazy to think about? I don't believe so. Minnesota, you just have a rookie quarterback. Like, there's just a level of what to expect being reasonable. You can always shoot for the moon and go, well, we've had Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud in back-to-back years, and the sky's the limit. Cool. But being realistic, a rookie quarterback, a good rookie quarterback season is 9-10 wins, and they show flashes. And yes, does it help that he has, in my opinion, a brilliant offensive coordinator / head coach? 1,000%. Does it help that he has the best receiver in football in Justin Jefferson? 1,000%. Offensive line's good. The defense is going to be good. Everything in Minnesota structurally looks really good. I also think they're going to win 14 games again. And with a rookie quarterback, it'd be unrealistic to think they'd win 14 games. So they take a step back. The Lions take a step back. This is, again, why I have the Bears going in second place. Because what the Bears did proactively, getting Ben Johnson, fixing the offensive line, and I believe in Caleb, despite the fact people probably now think I hate him, everything was positive, progressing in the right direction, making good moves. And the team that I think is going to fall off the hardest is Green Bay. Go look at who Green Bay beat. For all the people that want to throw out, and I'm going to get to one of you later in the show, for all the people that want to point out the Broncos are getting a lot of hate for this. Well, the Broncos didn't beat any good quarterbacks besides Baker Mayfield. Okay. Go look at who the Packers are beating. Saints, Colts, the Niners last year decimated by injuries, the Bears, who weren't very good, fired their head coach. Go look at who the Texans, who are having a season from hell with injuries. Go look at the Packers' wins and say, how many quality wins did you get? Mind you, the Packers won one game in division. And that was the best division by record last year. They won one game. So I think the NFC North is going to take a step back, which is going to help Chicago, is going to help Caleb. But look, man, at some point we got to start separating why someone is great versus is someone still great. And that division, as great as they were last year, I don't see a repeat performance of that, even though I do see a lot of long-term health. Like, this is going to be a good division for a long time. I mean, if you want to be a part of one of the coolest, most unique communities, don't forget to like and subscribe.